up, everybody? Welcome to a Wingin It podcast. Jack, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I am making it. I'm making it.
I
It's a little wet out here, but yeah, I'm making it. Been raining all day, so
I hear you,
bipolar weather in effect. Um,
man.
I should be good and sick by Wednesday now,
Please don't say that because it'll end up happening. Everybody gets sick.
bruh. It went from 70 on Friday to 40 last night. I'm like, yeah, and why some people gonna try to come to work tomorrow? I'm like, oh,
So
I'm gonna bring my
you in an
bags.
area to where if it snow, they don't care.
Yeah, they don't
Okay,
care.
yeah,
I
yeah,
care.
yeah,
I care.
yeah. Because I know, like, depending on where you stay, snow is so common. They're like, nah, you're not missing work. You're
Yeah,
used to this by now.
yeah. Try me with that. Try me with that. See what happens. I keep days on deck just because of that.
I feel you on that.
What's up, everybody? Chat, how y'all doing tonight? Y'all looking at the title. Um, it's half joking, half true. Half joking, half true. Before we get into that, what you been playing, man?
So I just got to the end. I should have finished it today, but I took a break. But I just got to the end of Mario and Luigi Bowser Inside Story. I did not realize this game was that long. I did
Oh
not.
yeah. That
Uh,
was one of the longer ones.
yeah, because the moment I thought it was done, I'm like, okay, I beat the Dark Star, and then now we outside of Bowser and about to do this whole giant fight again. To where now I'm getting ready to fight against Peach's Castle as Bowser. So I was like, it was cool. Like the first 18 times I did it, I was like, but all right. I was like, it's at this point, I'm kind of done. So doing that, of course, Spyro. I picked that up, and then Prince of Persia. So
Okay.
I'm getting ready to go into what was it? Um, Diddy Kong Racing. I'm getting ready to do that. Essentially, what I'm doing now is trying to get past all the intro stuff for a lot of these games because most of them still have like that whole tutorial
Yeah.
walk you through situation. But then there were some older games which my kids found out there were no tutorials. They expected you to read those manuals and read that manual to understand how to play this game. So so those I don't have to worry about bypassing that because I don't want to be on stream playing through tutorials. But yeah, so
That's
that's
understandable.
pretty much what I'm playing right now. And then hopefully, when I get this whole stream thing up, Diddy Kong will be the thing that I play through with everybody live, just to kind of see if I can beat that game again. I still forgot how to unlock characters and everything. I know it's something about run over frogs and all sorts of stuff to get, but I think I'll get that though. But yeah, that's about it.
I'm wondering, because once again, we we actually play Nintendo games. So
Right.
I'm wondering if they ever going to like one release that damn GameCube in it. So and two, um since by their own admission they don't know what to do with F-Zero,
Hmm.
and Mario Kart kind of is hitting that, are we hitting the wall with this? Since they still pretty much own Donkey Kong, why don't you just bring back Diddy Kong Racing?
So I think when it comes down to Diddy, I mean, I think it'd be fairly easy to do replacements.
Hmm.
I'm curious as into who all they kept. Yeah, I mean, because
Good
I
point.
mean, I know. So, like for example, Conker's gone, and then Banjo's gone.
Yeah,
I know the DS version got rid of Banjo and Conker, I believe,
yeah,
because they did the remake. So I don't know if they keep that same cast or if you just go and say, all right, cool, here's a whole new cast. We're just doing Diddy Kong remake and then run from there. Because I mean, I feel like the game in itself would still hold up. Because I mean, Crash released another racer a couple years ago,
yeah. That's true. That's true.
and I mean, people still love that. But the only element that was missing was the one that both Diddy and Sonic had, which was the whole transformation aspect.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah,
So I mean, when you look at Diddy, it's like, hey, look, you got your racing courses with the car, you got the hoverboat, and then you got the plane. But I mean, I think they can find a better way to implement all that to kind of get with the modern times. But as far as racing is concerned, the power ups that were concerned, because that was the only game I can remember where you could stack power ups.
yeah,
So that's what I enjoyed about the game because I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I can get like three balloons of the speed boost and then just take off, and then
yeah.
still have the drift mechanic in it. So I mean, I think they could really do it and bring it back. Will it compete with Mario Kart? No, because of the
No,
appeal of Mario Kart.
yeah. And
Um,
Mario Kart's too well established, but I
yeah,
think it'll be one of those situations where you're like, okay, look, we know it's not Mario Kart, but we're just giving you something a little different. And I
Yeah,
think we'll jump on it because of the simple fact that, like, some people have been complaining about Mario Kart. They really
yeah,
have, which is understandable.
yeah. It
It's
is.
understandable after a while. Well, RJ, if they don't own all the characters, then there's only one thing to do to make sure that this game
Oh yeah,
goes above and
and we've been
beyond.
talking about it. Yeah.
Diddy Kong Racing Warriors.
Here we go, bro. You, and then Andre only made that worse today
Yeah,
on
Andre
Twitter.
really made it worse.
I was like, all right, we just gonna keep doing this. I was like, okay,
Yep,
so
yep. The one game with the most broken engine that everybody always knows about, we still just throw another game with it. Then we won't care. So, hey, Miss K, how you doing? So I've been playing Warframe, as you can tell, Warframe for Smash. I've been playing Warframe, Hogwarts Legacy. Jump back into Metroid Prime Remastered a little bit just because
okay,
I actually that's like one of the few first person adventure games that I like. I usually
okay.
don't like first person adventure, and to be completely honest, after playing Other M and what Team Ninja did with Samus, I kind of want a Zero Suit game where she gets to do all the wrestling moves and finishes. I kind of want that.
Why is there not just a straight up Zero Suit game? I feel
That's
like
what I was
Team
wondering.
Ninja would have done something with that by now.
Like here's the thing. Here's who I would get. I would either get Team Ninja or Platinum.
Yeah,
I want Team Ninja to get another crack at Metroid because I think they did a
right.
great job with
Yep.
Other M as far as the gameplay and combat is concerned. I know that story, people have their own opinions about it. My opinion is they gave you what you asked for. Don't get mad.
I
So
can't even go against the story considering the fact that we are very clear that if it wasn't just thrown in your face, you don't know what's going on.
yeah, yeah.
So I
Most
don't
people
even.
don't. But
Yeah,
the other thing too is people don't understand that Metroid is a bottle game. It's an isolated game, which
right,
basically means she's by herself. And unfortunately for Samus, she don't have AI to counteract her stoic, the way she is, because
right,
she has severe PTSD for
right.
a reason, and she
Yeah,
doesn't have something to offset that. So usually when you play in those games, you're doing what you're doing, and you're totally alone. The way Zelda got past it was they used to give Link a sidekick character.
right.
That's how they used to get past that. So that's why I was like, I'm like, what did y'all expect? Like, she's talking to herself. Like, yeah. Like, what? Like, what did you want? I'm like, okay, whatever. What's up, Andre, man? How you doing?
I mean, I'm good. Just planning to start some trouble. That's all.
Sir, you already
Yeah,
did
yeah.
that earlier today.
Yeah, we already found a way to fix Diddy Kong Racing by making it a Warriors game.
You see, you see, you start earlier today, sir.
Hey, that's the best way to fix it, man. Diddy Kong Racing Warriors. But,
With
to be,
Conquer, with Conquer and Banjo.
well, the funny thing about it is,
Really?
now that I think about it, because we are going to get into this a little bit later, but I don't see Microsoft saying no. I don't.
No, they won't.
Yeah,
They
they
definitely
won't.
won't. I mean,
I don't see them saying no.
they put Diddy Kong Racing on the DS. They allowed it.
Yeah. So I don't see them saying no to like Conquer and Banjo being in if they wanted to do one. I don't see them saying no. Now if it was
Nah,
Capcom, yeah. If it was
It'd be a
Capcom,
little
yeah, they would
different.
say no.
Yeah.
But
nah, nah. What's gonna happen is Nintendo's gonna announce the next Mario Kart game, and then they're gonna be the first two guest characters you see pop up. They'll be the first two.
that would be hilariously awesome. That would be
Look,
hilarious.
and they gonna get released with a pack with Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, and
Yeah.
they gonna get released with the Donkey Kong family.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was one thing. Like, okay, so completely fair. When they had let Link in, I'm like, why don't y'all put Zelda and Diddy and just go full Nintendo card at this point?
I think that's the next move because honestly, what
That's
else do
probably
you
the
do?
next step.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and do the real world. Their version of real world, because let's be real, Berlin was not how Berlin looks. But do their version of real world like they did with Tour.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's yeah. So all right, so we got that out the way. So what shall we get into first? You know what? Power World.
Yes.
I have not played it. I know Jack, you played it. RDC World has a hilarious video.
That video is fucking wrong.
It is so
He was
funny,
texting the whole time. Like, y'all couldn't change heat just a little bit.
bro.
Damn.
Because I can look at that again with the text message. I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
And they got the best two to do it, Mark and Leland, because Leland be tripping. So,
boy,
my question to you guys, because notice I want people to hear what I'm about to say. Does Game Freak really care? Not Nintendo, because Nintendo has nothing to do with it. Does Game Freak really care? I don't think Game Freak cares.
I don't think they care either. And the content creators, for the love of God, like, did you read the statement? Here's the thing: they are saying something because y'all won't shut up, and that's the problem. Like, if they don't, if they don't go and say, "Oh, we're looking into it," there's nothing for them. There's nothing here for them to sue against. Like, it really isn't. Like,
basically what they said. Basically, what they said was, "Look, stop snitching. We ain't worried about it. Leave us the hell alone."
Like, they really don't care.
They don't care.
Well, hold on. For all these people that say stop snitching on people, everybody running to be a snitch. Everybody. Like, what's up with y'all? What? Okay, in this particular instance, it's okay to snitch.
And the thing is, it's like Nintendo. I'm like, did y'all forget there's a whole Pokemon company called Game Freak and Creature over here?
Yeah.
Like
they don't ever at them.
And Game Freak.
They don't ever at them at all. They just at Nintendo. I guess they feel like it's like a full distribution list. Like, oh, Game Freak and Creature are tagged into Nintendo's distribution list. Like, I don't think this is how it works in Outlook.
They really are.
I don't know. Like, there's nothing here. I mean, the game, like we said on Sandstorm's podcast, we hope the game succeeds. It does what it needs to do. But for anybody saying that this is Pokemon, you have yet to play it. You have yet to pay any attention to the game because there's nothing like Pokemon at all. The similarity here is, do some of the Pokemon look the same? Yeah, they do. They favor. But I would say if you talk about the ones that they've shown or people that have gone out their way to find, I mean, there's 1,000 Pokemon, and if I say roughly 5 or 6 look the same, I think your percentages are pretty doggone good. Like 5 or 6 Pokemon out of 1,000 look the same, I think you're good. But other than that, I mean, as far as the gameplay, none of the stuff you do in this game you do in Pokemon, other than catch the Pokemon. Because when we talk about the fighting mechanic, if I throw a PAL out there, it doesn't put me in a turn-based situation. That is still open for me to throw my PAL out there, and for me to take a club and beat the hell out the PAL myself. So it's like, so we can double team the PAL if we wanted to. Like,
so you having Jujutsu Kaisen fights out here?
Exactly. Like, I've never seen red, blue, or green, depending on what version there's never been a time that they put hands on Pokemon.
No, never. They have.
So that's where the comparison for me just stops. But at that point,
to be fair, for anybody that's read the Pokemon Adventures manga, they have put hands on Pokemon in that manga.
Oh yeah, they have in the manga. But if we're talking about the game, they're completely different. And I tell anybody, I have like a very simple story that really woke me up as far as like how far these games truly go. I started watching the Pokemon anime before I played the games. Like, I didn't have the luxury of having like a Game Boy, but my cousins had one. So they let me borrow their Game Boy Pocket, and I got a copy of Pokemon Yellow. Now, why would I get a copy of a game and not own a system? You know, that was me at the time as a kid. I just wanted to play the game, but I had the game. But before I played Pokemon Yellow, I saw the episode where Pikachu beat Rhydon, where he jumped in his mouth and he electrocuted him from the inside. So I pulled that shit on Pokemon Yellow. It's not effective. He's a rough Pokemon. Electricity don't work on ground, and so I got beat. So it's like there's no like. So when you look at something like Power World, to where you can somewhat kind of pull stuff like that off, Yeah, Pokemon is not that diverse. It really isn't. So yes, people say the slave aspect of this of Pal World. I just say they're working. I mean, we somebody mentioned it on the podcast yesterday. Like we saw this in the first Pokemon games, Red, Green, and Blue, to where the Machoke was helping lay down the foundation of Vermilion. Like
Yeah.
they work in the game. It's just you can't make them do it in the game, but in Pal World you can. If I need something as far as fire is concerned, I get a fire pal and they run the furnace. Like have the little sheep pal and they can make wool. Water pal, they can run the water or whatever, and I can build a what you call it, like a base to kind of protect everything. And I've even seen where people built the base up and a fight broke out and their fire pals burnt down the base because they just caught up in the fight. So none of that's happening in Pokemon. None of it. So I see why some do the comparisons at the monster level, but that's very surface level, very surface.
And the funny thing too is like when Pokemon drops a game, the game's going to be full release.
Full release.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There are people who are paying for this beta. They're actually paying for it.
Yeah,
Was it $26, something like that?
Yes, 27,
30.
26. Yeah.
30?
I thought it went back up. I thought it went back to its full price.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, y'all paying for a beta? Because I thought the game
My
was
problem.
out. I thought the
My
game was
problem
out,
with
and it's not. So,
my problem with Power World right now is because Pocket Pair has Power World out as early access and Craftopia out as early access. Craftopia has been early access since 2020.
Yep.
When is the full game going to release?
Never. But that's the whole thing. But
yeah.
Here's my thing. I've seen creators play this game, support this game, and where the main ones complaining about games releasing incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't say, okay, I don't like when these companies release incomplete games for 60 or 70. So I mean, is it the price? Can I sell you an incomplete game for 30? So
I mean, listen. These are the same people that bought Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes.
True.
That was a demo.
True.
that was a 10-minute demo for $20.
That's my thing. That's my only takeaway from all of this, because the whole Pokemon thing doesn't make sense to me. But we literally just went through this conversation of games being incomplete, and then Power World, a game nobody was talking about, drops out of nowhere. And then, if anything, I feel like the Pokemon crowd picked this game up, because it's like you saying that it's copying, but you realize you're giving it attention. Nobody's paying attention to Power World. So now you're giving it attention, and people are going to go out their way to like it because they don't like Pokemon.
Or they think that it's Nintendo and they hate Nintendo anyway. So
correct.
They're gonna do that.
There you go.
And I'm just sitting back looking at here like, this is a beta. It's like, y'all.
But that does make me concerned that even though people gone back and forth about the AI and crypto thing, there's still a potential chance for those things to be included in the full game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, because then the CEO of that company is like big into AI art anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
they have a game out. They have a game out where you got to determine whether artwork is actually drawn or AI.
Yeah.
So it's not like the idea isn't floating around there. And then we know that everybody's trying to find some way to include NFTs in gaming. Why wouldn't the person that's interested in crypto and Web3 be the one to attempt to do that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And since he got the money, he's putting it behind it. Because I was wondering, like, why? Because when I found out it was the same people doing Craftopia, I'm like, ain't that game supposed to have been out? And
it should have been out. And the bad thing is, I played Craftopia on Game Pass a while back, and it felt like to me just a cheap Breath of the Wild knockoff.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's been very upfront with that. They see what's popular and they make something similar. They've been very upfront about that.
Screwed them up. The game probably just screwed them up, man.
Yeah,
it definitely did. That's probably why Craftopia is still in freaking early access.
Yeah,
right.
Tears of the Kingdom after that, because I remember there was an interview they were doing with I forgot the name of that developer team, but they were like, yeah, man, we've been playing Tears of the Kingdom, and that just pretty much we got to go back to square one. I'm like, what the dude? You ain't got to do that. Just keep working on your stuff. You ain't got to go back to square one. I'm like, they do what they do for the game they're trying to make. That's
everybody's looking for the lightning in the bottle. Like no one wants to put in the work. They just want to get the results.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when we look at Power World or any of these games in general. So when y'all mentioned Craftopia, I think the only game that I saw drawing comparisons to Breath of the Wild at the time that is still somewhat going is Oceanhorn. Like they're putting money into Oceanhorn. I believe Oceanhorn 2 actually controls a little bit better than the first one and looks a lot better than the first one. Because I remember the first one controlling pretty bad. But yeah, I mean, it's the only one that's tried to craft some type of identity of his own. But there's been plenty of games that have taken the formula of Zelda and try to do its own thing. It's just when you look like Link, when you play like Link, when you do things like Link, that's where the problem comes in.
The biggest problem is being too much like Zelda. It's different to
Way
get
too much.
inspiration and take ideas that look cool and be like, oh yeah, we can incorporate that.
Right.
But when you take what is essentially the same character and just throw on a different schmuck and say, oh no, this is Alvin. Like who cares?
Or this is Leroy.
Just change his name up. Yeah, that's it.
Leroy Jenkins.
Pretty much. So I mean, if for anybody that's watching or you see this later, there are games that are Pokemon like that you can support. If your biggest gripe is Pokemon, and I think Fresnel said it best, there are a lot of mechanics and Pokemon that are really deep. Like when you talk about people really doing the whole the whole IV training and everything else, like that, they get really deep with those games and those concepts. There's a reason why people play these and do tournaments for a reason. Like it's not like it's just super easy and call it a day. I think Pokemon, like most games, the single player aspect, yes, it's gonna be easy, but then when you start playing against other people, that's when you get your behind handed to you. So like you can play a game like a Mortal Kombat and run through arcade mode on easy or normal, whatever case may be. But then when you go and get somebody that can juggle you behind the whole match online, I think that was the point. And that's what happens with Pokemon in general. Like if you go online and play against somebody, I'm pretty sure they'll wipe the floor with you. So, but no one wants to go to the online aspect of it. They just want to do single player. And that's where it is. And then we talked about yesterday of Game Freak I feel like they just took on too much. Success hit them really fast, really hard. And I never thought in a million years when we got the whole Gen 2, I didn't know Pokemon was going to keep adding 150 Pokemon each generation. Like that was nuts. I was like, why would you do that?
Well, I think at the time, because at the time it was probably easier to do it. Like now it's, and then when you start changing and getting to more complicated and sophisticated systems, now you can't just bring that stuff over. And people are like, no, I have the Pokemon, I want my Pokédex. Like, bruh, we changed up this entire gameplay. It ain't gonna work. And then because if they did it, people be complaining about it don't play right. And you're like, something's gotta give.
Yeah.
There's also the problem of them changing to different types of architecture over the years, which means that everything has to be reworked and recoded because you can't just take the code and slap it from one place to the next.
Yeah.
And that team, and once again, and this goes back to size, the size of teams. That team ain't big. People walking around here thinking that Game Freak got 2,000 employees.
Right, no. They're not big. We looked that up last night. They're not big.
Yeah,
they're in the hundreds. Like it's not
And they're struggling. They're struggling because half of that is like merchandise. We found out it was like some of that is like merchandise.
It's
some
merch.
Of that is the team that works with the anime team, because that's a whole different thing too.
Yeah,
like bro, the people that actually make the game probably like 50 people.
It's very, very widespread. I mean, there's a lot of things that they have to account for that your average game doesn't have to account for. Yeah. Like even when you look at Mario's team doesn't have to worry about an anime. They don't have to worry about cards. I mean, if anything, they do merchandise. Put Mario's face on it and sell it. That's it. Like you don't have to do much with it. This is a global
Yeah.
like thing that keeps reoccurring from a yearly from an annual standpoint. And to answer Zodiac's question, no, it has no
Yeah.
inkling of
Uh,
esports potential. None.
Our World doesn't have esports potential. It just has like gameplay streaming potential, where
Streaming
you can see
potential.
a bunch of
Yeah.
people playing it together.
Like a
Sort
Fortnite.
of like how
Fortnite.
like
Yeah.
Fortnite or the Forest, like Vicky likes to talk about all the time because of
Yep.
the base building and crafting system.
Yeah.
But also too, search on Square. We were talking about that last night too, to where like if people really want like all of their Pokemon in one game, we think that well, at least for me, let me speak for myself. Each generation, yes. If you want to keep doing this 150 thing, do your 150, but don't have like older Pokemon in there unless they're like exclusive to that region, which I thought was a pretty cool idea of like, oh, this Pokemon really comes from this region. But outside of that, have your new Pokemon, and then if you want like your whole Pokédex and you buy into Pokemon Bank, they need to drop a stadium each generation. You don't need to do it every year or every like have more than one. Just have a stadium for each generation. So we have a Switch, we have the Switch 2 that I feel like is coming out this year. Have a stadium, allow people to take that game or take those Pokemon, put them in stadium, and then they battle online with other people in stadium. Like I think that would get you what you want. But trying to have 1,000+ Pokemon in a story-based game like Pokemon, it makes no sense because you're not going to catch all 1,000
Yeah.
in the game.
Nah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So there is that. I mean, like we said last night, I'm hoping Power World does well.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any game like get, you know, I don't want to see any game get needlessly bashed. Do
Yeah.
they have some character designs that are hella close? Yeah, we can all
Yeah,
see.
they really
I
do.
mean,
Yeah.
there's a couple of like I said in that RDC video, like that literally was a black Lucario. That was a black Lucario. Like, bro, y'all gotta. And then the
Yeah.
Eevee situation, that was Eevee.
Spot on.
That was straight up Eevee. And I went and looked
Like
to
you just
see.
change the color a little bit.
Yeah, I went and looked to see if that was actually true. If it
It
wasn't just them
is.
tripping. No, that was. I'm like, bruh.
Yeah.
So yeah, like some of that stuff, like, come on, dog. Y'all gotta come on, man. Don't do that. But
Yeah.
don't sit up and get like a freaking Charizard and make him green and then try to tell people it ain't Charizard. Like, come on, dude.
Make them green. Give them some stone horns and
Yeah,
claws and call
And
it a
change him
day.
to ice.
yeah. Like
He
no,
shoot ice. He don't shoot fire.
no. He shoots green fire. That's basically what he'll do. Yeah,
There
like
you go. There you go.
really, bruh. So let's not do that. But I'm glad people are having fun with it though, because I have seen people having a good time with
Oh
it, and
yeah.
that's to me
Yeah.
that's most important. If you having fun, do your thing and have a good
For sure.
time, man.
Yeah.
But I did find that funny because I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, people are going at it. I'm like, Game Freak don't care.
They don't care. Dude.
They really don't care. Like, because they know that y'all sitting there trying to call them out. And as soon as that daggone trailer drop for the newest one, and as soon as that trailer drop for the Switch or whatever accessories come with it,
Right.
they know what's gonna happen.
Right. Yeah.
It happens every time.
There's gonna be a lot of people hate playing Pokemon
Yeah,
because they gotta play it to say that they hate it in order to
Mhm.
get valid criticisms.
and they bought both
Like
of
if
them.
you don't like it, don't keep buying it.
Yeah,
Which seems to be
Like
a hard.
stop spending the money into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing for people. But like I said, I mean, playing the game, there are elements of the game that I think Pokemon could incorporate for sure, 100%. But when we talk about the game in itself, I think the streaming crowd is going to eat it up. I think they're going to love it. I think it's going to be on the on par with like how Genshin Impact took off, and then they have Honkai Star or Star Rail that they just dropped not too long ago. I think that's where it's going to stay. It is going to stay with the streaming crowd because honestly, one, you have the PC crowd, which tend to be graphics, and then you have the Xbox crowd. Apparently, no one likes Xbox. So, I mean, there's two platforms that really it shouldn't fit other than streaming. But I feel like it'll be around for a minute as long as the developers can keep it up. Because I mean, for them to speak as inexperienced as they are, hopefully they can keep it up and really follow through with this roadmap that they laid out. But yeah, I mean, I wish them nothing but the best. So hopefully it does work out for them for sure.
yeah. Okay, so next things up. Our favorite G Unit. Uh,
You mean hip hop grifter?
yeah. So we talked about this last night on the Stormcast. So I just want to bring it up here, just because I'm not going into the specifics of that. But he basically said that Nintendo's going PC in 2026, and for people to get ready, and that he
They're
talked to
going to ignore the family market.
yeah, they're gonna he done already talked to multiple PC companies that have talked to him personally. Didn't talk to Nintendo, but talked to him personally and said that. And I'm just gonna ask two questions: isn't he always wrong? And two, why would Nintendo do this when they actually have cash assets and they don't really need to? They're not in a situation like Sony where they have to put this stuff out on PC to try to make some money back. Their games aren't as expensive.
I think
So
that's the
No, they're
point
not.
that a lot of people are not paying attention to.
yeah,
Sony didn't do this to get more money. Sony did this to get
to
money.
break even. To break even.
They
There's a
did
little
it to break
difference.
even to get a little bit more.
Yeah.
That's a,
They're hoping to break even. That's the other thing too.
There
Like
you
it
go.
ain't guaranteed you're gonna make money on PC. So
Correct.
nope. Especially
Yep.
since people like to wait for games to be $5-6 before
yeah.
they buy them.
I mean, like, look,
Yeah.
everybody know about them Steam crackhead sales. I mean, Steam sales.
That, for real. Like, let's stop acting like most people don't get half their library from Steam sales.
Yeah,
Like,
especially when they like what is
Well,
it, that $5 for the weekend.
bruh. Or either the humble bundles.
jeez.
Yeah,
Come on, man.
The Humble Bundles,
30
Fanaticals
games for eight
bundles,
dollars.
shit, Green Man Gaming. God, everybody got deals for Steam games. If
Bro,
Yeah,
you can sneeze and find one.
I don't
yeah.
think I can't remember the last time I paid full price on Steam. Like, bro, no.
And so, and the other thing too, and I brought this up last night was I don't see a world where Nintendo allows people to mod their game
No.
because we
Nope.
already had the issue with Bowsette a couple years ago. Y'all remember how that turned
Correct.
out? And that was just artwork.
Yeah.
Imagine if Mario Odyssey is on PC and Bowsette.
It's gonna be
Yeah,
a mess.
nah.
I mean, you
It's
see,
gonna be full of Rule 34.
they already went after the dude that did the mod for Power World.
For Power World.
Yeah.
He had to drop that much. And that, don't do stupid stuff. Play stupid games, get stupid prizes.
They only went against him because he monetized. Like, they were gonna go after him regardless, dude.
Nah,
And that's why I was so happy. Like, I don't pay attention to communication or back and forth with Twitter, but there was a few people that went in there with knowledge of like, hey, you have to understand, even if he didn't charge for it, right? There's something about, having your image, having your IP shown in a certain type of way. If you don't question it over time, there's nothing you can do legally.
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo protects their IP. Sony may be throwing theirs away, and Microsoft may be throwing theirs away, but Nintendo cherishes the IP that they build.
Well,
so
I'll say this: Sony and Microsoft let certain ones, because you do that shit with God of War and Halo, see what happened to your behind.
Yeah,
you will. They will ban hammer the hell out of it quickly.
Yeah. And make it so you can't talk about it.
True. Yeah.
So
Yep.
So I want to get on one point that Mr. Hip Hop Grifter ran on, and that's the whole Nintendo's going to go the social gamer route and ignore families. For one,
That made no
Nintendo
sense.
has generally made games for the family because they want the family to socialize together. That's been their main focus for
Yes.
generations at this point. That was one of the reasons behind Pokemon, so that you could socialize with other people, but you still had your independence in your game.
Correct.
So, for the idiot to come out here and say, "Well, no, they're going to go the social gaming route," so they're going to focus on a bunch of people that talk about a bunch of things that don't put their money where their mouth is, and then complain
Thank
about
you.
stuff and then buy it anyway.
Thank you.
The most confusing crowd on the planet when it comes to technology, but they're going to hinge their bets on them. They're going to ignore the family unit that has made them tons and tons and tons of money over their existence to
Right.
pay attention to a group of people that don't know what the hell they want.
Exactly.
And the other thing that I would actually like to bring up is Nintendo had their own social media. It was Miiverse. So Hip Hop Gamer. I know you're not listening to this, But
Hip hop grifter. No. Call him his real name.
oh
Hip
yeah,
hop
hip hop
grifter.
grifter. if and if you would have been more a little bit sincere and did your homework, you probably would have known they already had their social media.
Yeah.
But people, the loud minority, claim they didn't want it.
Correct. Yeah.
These are the people that didn't have the system anyway. Because if you had the system, you would have known that on the Wii U, not only did you have Miiverse, but you had options to go to Twitter, Facebook, and Tumblr.
Correct.
And so that's the thing. Like, you saying that literally makes no sense because it makes you look stupid because now we know you don't know what you're talking about.
Right. And then what Sandstorm brought up, which I mean we're all privy to now, you can't really do this with Sony or Microsoft because it hasn't happened with them. But you can see who are like the hardcore, diehard Nintendo fans by looking at the Wii U. It sold 15 million. Now, the rest of those sales typically come from casual gamers.
Yep.
So when we talk about the family market, he says 2026. So that means they would have to throw the idea of the Switch all the way out the window because, like Andre said, they always look at family. That's who gets them the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Switch. We put 2 separate controllers on here, not because it was a cool gimmick, but it gives you automatically 2 players out the gate.
Out the gate.
Because they used to package 2 controllers with the consoles. So now that we are out of that element in general to where you only get 1 controller, Nintendo's still looking for a way for you to play together. They showed it on their commercials. Hey, put it in tablet mode. Get somebody the other Joy-Con. You can play together. You know what I'm saying? Like, or either take 2 Switches, put them back to back, and then y'all can play together. Like, they always talk about playing together locally. Like, that's why I feel like it took them so long to get into online because they didn't care about you connecting with somebody online. They still wanted you to sit couch to couch with people and play. Because I mean, it's still the best way. I mean, like online is cool, but still sitting next to somebody playing a game is still unbeaten, 100%.
There is nothing like having 8 people in the crib playing Smash Brothers.
Yeah,
nothing
there's
like
nothing better. 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah,
after
y'all
picking
still
it up.
going.
Now that's one thing I did hate about the Wii version. About what was it? Yeah, with the Subspace Emissary.
Yeah, Subspace
we got like with the GameCube or Wii season 1 and 2. So when we got to the house and everybody's like, okay, we finna play, and it's like, oh, we got to unlock them through the emissary. So it's like, all right, go ahead and beat the game real quick so we have people to play with.
Hey, look,
so we can play.
that was a much easier way to unlock all the characters than to do all of the separate missions that are in that game.
There's always the one thing I love about Sakurai is he puts multiple ways to do it. The problem is Subspace Emissary was the quickest way they ever did.
Yeah,
it was just the quickest way.
So we sat there and we waited.
Yeah, Dark Boy, you are absolutely right. It did have integration.
It did.
It did because you could see all the videos.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know where he was going with this. Even though he was still like poking to the crowd that wants this to happen, it's not going to get you anything because really, when it doesn't happen, you're going to disappear again, and then what?
He's talking to the crowd that doesn't know what the hell they want. They just like the sound of certain things.
Yeah,
that's it.
I mean, I said it last night. Like I had a conversation with somebody on X, and I was like, "Look, man, if Nintendo, if you want them to play the power game, what would make you pick them over Sony Microsoft?" He straight up told me he's a Sony fan. You just answered your own question, dude. That's why they're not going to do it. Yeah. They're not going to play they did it already. It was with the GameCube. GameCube was way more powerful than the PS2. GameCube was a little bit under the OG Xbox in terms of power, and people made excuses. They're not going to do that again. And on top of that, they've already told you this is not a sustainable model. And guess what? It's been proven time and time again that they were right.
I mean, we did just say that Sony is putting their games on PC because they're not making money on them.
They're not making what because it costs too much.
Yeah, it costs way too much, and then you're not getting a return. And once again, ironically enough, Power World can come back into this conversation because of Twitter, to where they showed how much it cost to do Spider-Man 2 versus what it made, and then how much it cost to make Power World and what it's made in the past week. Like you don't have to put movie type budgets into these games to get a return. No. And most of them are not getting these returns. I remember when Square was saying that Tomb Raider didn't make what they wanted it to make when it sold 3 million. They were like, hey, we needed it to sell more. Yeah. So
they needed it to sell 10 million, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Because then it
Yeah,
cost like 100 mil to make or something like that.
yeah.
So
And they
yeah,
said they needed 10 million to break even.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, and once again, it goes back to what I've said before. Like gamers have to take their responsibility for this because most of
Yes.
y'all ads y'all want full voice acting. You
Correct.
have to pay them. They're not doing this pro bono.
Correct.
Two,
Nope.
you want full orchestrated music. You have to pay them. And
Correct.
if you get John Williams, you got to pay John Williams rate.
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. So essentially, you're now paying for the movie budget. Like you might
Yeah.
as well put yourself in the credits
That's
because at this point, that's what you're asking for. Because it's
Yeah.
not like they're going to go and get somebody that is well established within the gaming community as far as voiceover is concerned. They're automatically looking at the actor
Yeah.
that probably don't even play
yep.
the game at all.
Yeah.
So it's going to do that because they want this real life experience. They want to do the motion cap. They want to get the the
Ugh.
facial expressions. They want all of that because I feel like low key most of them want to be movie directors. But ultimately, when when it comes
Yeah.
down to it, this is what y'all asked for, and that's why I was standing with Alex on Twitter. When he stands by like God of War trilogy is still better than the
It
2018,
is.
and it is. And the thing is, it's like if you feel like 2018 is better, cool. But my thing is like even replaying these games now between the combos, the freedom of that game, as well as it still had a good story. Like it's still had a good story from God of War all the way until the third one. I don't I don't get why people like 18. I really don't. I tried. My
It's
PS5 even
It's
came with the newest one.
I
I
can
don't like it.
I can tell you exactly why people like the recent one, at least a particular crowd likes the more recent one,
Right.
and that's because Kratos is softer. It's just simply that because Kratos is
which
softer.
Spartans are not that. If you go by history, Spartans are never that.
Never.
They've never been that.
Yeah.
It's one thing. It's one thing for him to be introspective, but for
Yeah.
people that
Yeah.
haven't played the original games, they didn't realize that Kratos was extremely introspective
Yeah.
Yeah, he
throughout
was.
that entire
He was.
situation.
He was pissed off. That's what he
He
was.
was pissed. He was mad because of what was done to him,
To
but he
him,
was
yeah,
Right.
extremely introspective.
yeah.
Didn't mean he lost his edge. It
No,
just meant that he knew what the hell was going on and he was trying to make
Right.
things right.
and the funny thing about those original games was that the fact that like if you went through it, all he wanted to do was die.
That's
If
all he
he just
wanted.
would have
Yeah.
let him die, if Zeus just would
Yeah.
have let him die, he wouldn't have caught that L.
Yeah.
Zeus caught that fade in 3, and I loved every minute of it. Zeus caught that fade. I'm like, bro, he caught that doggone fade. So
And like it don't matter how many times you killed this man, he still came back.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they wouldn't let him. They wouldn't let him alone.
Yeah.
They
No,
just wouldn't.
they wouldn't let him die and have peace.
Yeah,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
that's all he wanted. And so when you watch those first 3 games, yes, Kratos was a savage, but you got to remember he's a freaking Spartan. That's what they do.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
what
that's what
Spartans
he was
do.
trained to do.
Yeah. So he did his training basically. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you go back and play him, like yeah, he really is introspective because and you kind of feel bad for you kind of pity him because you're
Mhm.
like, dude, Zeus, all you gotta do is let the man die. That's
That's
all he
it.
wanted to do. Just let him
That's it.
die.
Yeah.
But you had just had to catch this fade that apparently you was asking for. So
Yeah. So
just had
you
to
look
catch
at that. So you look at that and you say, okay, those games were amazing, and I know they did numbers.
it. Yeah.
So you then go to this huge budget. Now I don't know if it made the return it needed to make, but I don't think it was necessary. I feel like they could have had a smaller budget and still made that, if not more,
Yeah.
and still did what they did. You could have had Artreus in that type of style
Yeah.
of the trilogy. And now the one
Yeah.
thing that despises me about that game is him constantly calling him boy, and I lets me know that Kratos is loved by a lot because when I went to GameStop the other day, this man was calling his son that the entire time I was in there. I was like, dude, if you don't shut up, just
Yeah.
boy, boy. It's like,
Yeah.
this is wild.
Okay, dude.
But
It's one thing.
Right,
It's
dude.
one thing to drop it every now and again as a joke, but if you consistently do it, you just an asshole.
yeah, he
Yeah.
just kept going. But you could tell he was in love with God of War, man, Kratos. But all in all, I mean, to get back to the main
No, no,
point
no,
as
no, no,
far
no.
as
Hold on. Wait. He's not in love with God of War. He's in love with the new God of War. Because to be in
there
love with
you
the
go.
entire
Yeah.
series, you wouldn't treat Kratos like that.
True.
No.
You're right.
Yeah.
But the main point of like the budget aspect of it, right? So Nintendo's not going to go that route because they don't need to.
Mhm.
Even though Nintendo's had their ups and downs, like they don't have a ton of consoles that sell on the par of Wii or Switch like that. PlayStation has been very blessed in the sense to where every one of their consoles has sold pretty well.
But they
But the
also
thing
keep
is,
them going 10 years too.
exactly, they keep them going 10 years, and then they're not really getting no software returns as we see.
Yeah.
So it's like pick your poison. To where Nintendo, you keep calling them weak, keep saying that the consoles are outdated, but they're making returns on both software and hardware.
Yeah.
So where
And
your
it don't take
ain't
a
doing
bunch
it.
of. They don't have to sell a bunch of copies to do it.
Correct.
And you
Correct, because
still
they
got a
still
lot
made
of
profit
them.
off Wii U.
Yeah, and they still making million plus sales. They had million plus sales on the Wii U.
Correct.
So
So I mean, at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, hip hop, grifter he's not. I don't know where he's pulling it from. And even when he was talking about the marketing aspect of it, of having like Zelda, I guess shells or having GPUs, Mario, like why would Nintendo do that? That
yeah,
makes no freaking
And
sense.
that would be a waste of money for them to do because then
Yeah,
they're paying the
mhm,
companies that are putting the GPUs out to put
to
those on
do
there.
that, and they're not
yeah,
gonna do that. They're
no.
not gonna do that.
Because it's not like there's like one place you go and say, okay, I'm on this main company makes these. There's tons of GPUs
Huh.
and CPUs out there, and RAM. Like you can literally have a big gumbo pot of different brands inside your PC if you build your own PC.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like in Origin, he was like, because he mentioned Origin. Like, why? They have their own brand. Why would they then
yeah. They
have
don't need to do
Nintendo?
that.
They don't need to do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I
but
said, that's why I was like, everything he was saying to that crowd that wants to hear that. He was telling them what they wanted to hear, and
oh
that's
yeah,
it. I'm like, there's no
and
way.
he
Yeah.
played it smart. He
Yeah,
played it smart. And RJ, you're right. Like 4K, while it is everywhere TV wise,
yeah.
like there's
It's
still
not.
a lot of people that haven't gone that route. Like even when I got my 4K TV, I'm gonna be honest with you, I was highly pissed when it's like Netflix was like, oh, for you to watch this, you need to give us some extra money.
Yeah,
Then you go to HBO, oh,
Yep.
you need to give us some extra money. Like you got to pay extra money to get that 4K content.
hmm
Like
Well,
and
then
so
what's the
now,
point?
and then it's like, what's the point? Because it's
and
not like you're giving me anything extra just because I can view it in 4K. Is not like 1080p was bad.
uh,
Like it
yeah, and
wasn't
it's
Huh.
bad.
not, and it's not because there's so much stuff you have to do to manipulate your TV, depending on who you got to make it have that visual that you get when you go into Best Buy or Costco or Walmart
Right,
or
right.
Sam's, and you
But
see the display. There's a lot of stuff you
yeah,
have to do to it. The other thing too is new 4K cameras are not cheap, so
No,
that's why you
no,
have
they
to
are
pay
not.
extra at Netflix and uh, Paramount and Max for it because them cameras ain't cheap.
no.
Hell, the cameras that they use for TV is still 720.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The NBA, the NFL championship games are happening today. I promise you, them cameras are not 4K they're using. I promise you, they're not.
Ah,
There's
not
I
with the
think
number of cameras they use. Oh hell no.
so I think
They,
what WWE has like these little quick shots that they do in
mm-hmm.
like 4K, but then it's not the
It's
whole
not the
match.
whole. No,
Nah.
hell no.
Mm-mm.
AEW does the same thing. Nobody's using them like that. Like, yeah, like there's certain movies that use them. Like I know Christopher Nolan likes to use them, and James Cameron likes to use them with his stuff. But James Cameron made his own camera to do
Yeah.
it. So that's the thing. That's the way I think people don't understand when it comes to that kind of stuff.
They don't get it in general. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of this
Mm.
would be alleviated. And I'm not putting this on the developers. I mean, this is something you can do if you want to. But as the developers, like really showcase to your fans like what this takes and what all it is really what really goes into making these games and how much you truly are spending on making these games. And then most of them would shut up because really they think it's just a matter of, oh, okay, if Nintendo puts this stuff on PS4, their games will be on the scale of
and it's not.
a God of War. You're
Nope.
not gonna get
Mm-mm.
like you're not Zelda's not gonna look like Horizon just because you put it on a PS4 or PS5.
Mhm.
That's not how that works.
Nope.
And people don't understand that, which boggles my mind. And it's because this is
Look,
a information age, but whatever. Um,
look, the fact that I even had to make that discussion because Mighty Keith made that dumbass fucking post on Twitter. Man, Rito Xenoblade Chronicles 3 on the PlayStation, it would be better. Like, how, motherfucker?
no,
In what
How
way?
would it be better? What changes when you take the code from one console to the next, other than you probably got more bugs?
and my thing
That
was,
too.
I'm
Yeah.
like, bro, you know this. Like, there's a difference between the art style. That no, it don't work like that, dude.
The art styles, because of the art style of those games, nothing is going to change. It's going to look
Nothing.
exactly the same, no matter what stretch you put it in.
Yeah.
It's going to look the same.
Like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is not going to be instantly better because it's on Xbox Series X now. No, it's not going to. Not from a visual standpoint. It's still going to be cel shaded.
And then even if you say, okay, it gives the developers more to play with, obviously not, because the developers that's on there now still ain't doing a great job. So, like,
Gotham Knights, Gotham Knights, anybody remember how that game went from 4-player co-op to 2-player to damn? We just got the game out.
This stuff don't work like that. If the developer wants it to look a certain type of way and wants to run a certain type of way, aka if I have a vision of 30 frames per second, don't get mad at me or the console because it don't run at the 60 that you prefer.
Yeah, like when Tim Howard had to come out for Starfield and be like, "Look, man, we had to lock it at 30 so things would run smooth," and people had the audacity to get mad. You're like, dude, he's trying to keep the game from glitching out, but apparently y'all won't that. So okay.
He's trying to keep the game from being a Bethesda game. Yeah. Y'all arguing with him.
Yeah, I'm like, apparently y'all want that. So okay, at that point, if I'm Tim Howard, at that point, I wash my hands of you.
Yeah.
At that
don't
point,
complain when it starts acting up.
Yeah. Don't get mad.
No. I ain't washing my hands of it. Fuck everybody else. I'm not letting my reputation go down because of them. No. Hell no.
I mean, but
he made the right choice.
He did.
I'm saying from that standpoint, I'm like, dude, like, look, we're trying to make this where the gameplay will be smooth, and locking it is gonna make it smooth. And nobody wanted to hear that. But the thing was, nobody said nothing to Ubisoft when they did it with Valhalla. Nobody said nothing to Square Enix when they did it with Avengers, when they sent out emails telling you that if you play this in 4K, you're gonna have to lock it at 30. It wasn't. That's what it was. I'm like, bro, like nobody said nothing when they did it, so I don't understand why they were tripping with that.
They pick and choose who they argue with.
Yeah.
It's a Generation of Nothing from
Generation of Nothing.
Masters. Okay, I see it up here. This came out 2 days ago.
All right,
I'll take a look at it.
Yeah, I'll take a look at it after the podcast. We'll probably talk about it next week.
Yeah.
All right, so
I'll definitely do a check on it afterwards.
Yeah. All right, so okay, I didn't really want to talk about this, but we kind of had to because it did kind of happen last week. But Microsoft did lay off employees across their entire game division, not just the Activision Blizzard merger. People feeling a certain way about it. Here's what I'm gonna say, and I know people aren't gonna like it because I'm gonna tell you like this right here: if you just don't like Microsoft, then just admit that and go on about your business.
Yeah.
All right. Because sitting up here trying to pretend like you are a champion of the people because they laid off 1,900 people. Every merger is going to have layoffs.
Correct. Every one of them.
Every last one of them. Me and Jack were talking about this yesterday. Like the company I used to work for, when they bought, when they went through a couple of acquisitions, there were some layoffs. What you did not hear though was how what the company was trying to do. Like, okay, look, you can't work here, but we have positions open on this side of the country doing this in this field. Some people took them. Some people weren't able to because they had, like one lady that I worked with, she couldn't leave because her parents were sick and they lived in the area. She just couldn't leave. And the position they had for her was in Cali.
Yep.
She couldn't up and leave, so she had to say no. That's what the things you don't hear about. There's a lot of stuff you don't hear about. I don't remember anybody saying nothing when Embracer Group laid off people.
Right.
I don't remember anybody saying nothing when Sony acquires Bungie and they laid off people. Y'all forgot about that?
No, they didn't forget about it because,
like I said, I understand y'all. I understand the idea and the people being upset. I understand. I do, and I hate that people get laid off. But that's an unfortunate thing that happens when there is a acquisition. That just happens. They're going to get rid of redundant positions. You're not going to have, if you're running a business, and I want you to think about it. If you're running a business and you're able to buy a company that you like, something that has patents that you want, and you're able to actually acquire them, you're not going to have two CEOs.
No, you're not.
You're not going to have two CIOs. You're not going to have two They're not gonna have 8 division brand managers when you only needed 3.
Correct.
You're not
Yep.
gonna do that. You're
That's
not.
correct.
And just because they're valued at over $1 trillion, don't. I'm sorry, that still doesn't negate the fact that you don't need those positions. Once again, we're not going to hear everything in the cases of like, okay, they can go work here or they can do this because that does happen, and a lot of times people do get severance options.
Yes.
We're not going to hear about that. Only thing we're going to hear is they laid people off.
Yep.
Apple's laid people off.
Yes.
And if you want to talk about, people getting laid off at the profits, Activision did it twice under Bobby Kotick, where they bragged about making, I think it was like 4, 5, 800 million in profits, and then laid off 800, 1,200 people. Did anybody get mad then? Did anybody get mad then?
Nope, because they were worried about Bobby Kotick getting up out of there. That was their main focus at the time.
Bro,
but it comes back down to the lack of education. You know what I'm saying? And then for any of us that, even whether you pay attention to it or you're actually in the corporate world, you understand that mergers are going to have layoffs. And then also too, Jay has said it 1,000 times over. Just because like your life has changed because the pandemic and we're out of the whole quarantine situation doesn't mean these businesses did that at a drop of a hat.
Yeah.
Like even the business I work for, they're still fixing the pandemic situation, as in they overhired and then now they're getting back to BAU. So they're still so people are still getting laid off at this time. And it's like literally out of nowhere. And so when we went, like for me as a manager, it sucks because I hear about it ahead of time and I can't say nothing. But when it comes down to like the gaming aspect of it, we look at this in a multitude of ways to where, mergers, you look at where they may have brought some extra people on as far as the pandemic was concerned because people were doing things that remote at the time. And then the very thing that we see every generation, not every developer can keep up every generation, because while you champion Microsoft and Sony pushing the threshold every single time, that means there's a lot of people getting ready to lose their jobs behind it due to the fact that they want to keep pushing the threshold even though they can't sustain it themselves.
Yeah.
So now I think one of the biggest ones I saw when we moved from the 6th gen, like there were a lot of developers flourishing in that PS2, GameCube, Xbox era. And then we went to HD when I feel like we really shouldn't have at the time. But when we went to HD, a lot of people couldn't keep up in the 360 era and the PS3 era. Like EA used to be one of my favorite companies. They haven't recovered since.
Nope.
Haven't recovered since.
Midway
Acclaim, like they all went away. So I mean, with anything as far as change is concerned, going to these next levels, like people are going to lose their jobs. So with the Activision thing, people were mad about them making the purchase in the first place. So that's number 1. 2, they don't like Xbox off rip. And then 3, you see that these are layoffs. It's going to happen. And then even with, I think, what's his name? Red Dragon. Red Dragon bringing in somebody mentioning that they had like medical issues and, how dare they lay people off? Like that's going to happen. Like they're not going to hold on to people that have medical issues. That's not
real life people.
And then even she came out herself and was like, hey, don't put my name and my business into this. Like, because you want to do this console war stuff. Like they gave me, I love Microsoft still. I love Activision still. And I have a severance. Like, I don't know how long it's going to hold me up, but at least I got a severance. And
there'll be time to find something. Like those severance packages, I'm going to tell you right now, those severance packages from like a corporation as big as like Apple or Microsoft, they're not small severance packages. No. They're not $250 for the whole month. Okay.
No,
they're not.
My New York team got a pretty substantial one.
Yeah.
So no.
And that's enough to hold them over until they can find something. And most times, like I said, I know with my former company, they were helping people find other jobs. They just like, dude, depending on your situation, you may have to move across the country. And they were going to help. They helped people do that. Yep. So, you're not going to hear that, especially social media. You're only going to hear the headline.
You're going to hear all that stuff. But the thing is, though, another thing which y'all mentioned, everybody's mad about all these layoffs, but y'all want them to keep pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing the envelope with technology. That technology has a cost. Mm-hmm. The more you want that technology pushed, the less and less people that there will be to keep pushing that technology.
Yep.
That's one reason Nintendo can keep going forward and not have to lay off tons and tons of people.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't play that game.
Yep.
Because they knew back before. Well, Iwata knew ahead of time that look, man, this ain't sustainable. And guess what? He wasn't lying.
Yep. And it's not. It really isn't. And that's why I hope this whole PS5 Pro
It's
rumor
a lie.
is a lie. I hope it is, because it's like, what are you pushing the envelope for? Because even then, if you look at, I think it's what, Sony, Rockstar, and there may be like another company. Like if you go from PS2 on up to now, you went from seeing these multiple game drops to now they're all focused on maybe 1 to 3 games at best. And it's like we stopped getting quality and quantity, and now we're just getting just quality games, but it's 1 or 2 here and there.
Yeah,
because the development cycles are longer,
and it's a crap ton of roguelikes.
Exactly. So, which I hate that even popped up. Like it works for some games, but geez,
not all of them. Yeah. So, all right, let's go to something even more depressing. Metroid Prime 4. So look, I understand why some people are upset, but
I don't.
I'm glad I understand why, but I'm glad it happened this way because number one, once again, gamers have to take responsibility for this. Y'all want stuff to come out as soon as they start working on it.
Correct.
And then you want to keep a time ticker on when they bring up more information about it. They got right now, you got people sitting up here looking at LinkedIn to see if they can find job postings to try to figure out when Metroid Prime 4 is going to release.
I don't know how a job posting is going to tell you that exactly, but okay. I mean, look, they hired a new merchandising manager. Maybe they're going to drop the game this year. That don't mean shit.
That don't mean nothing. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, but here's the thing, because even when they showed that, because it was clearly just a graphic with the Metroid Prime 1 theme playing behind it in 2017. So I'm like, dude, I hated that they did that because I'm like, look, if the game ain't even ready to drop a trailer, why are you talking about it? I've said this because I've said this about the Wolverine game. Why did you drop a 30-second trailer if the game ain't even being worked on right now? Because they're trying to finish up Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Why did you even do that?
Yeah.
Like, and then now we gotta wait till, and they're probably not gonna say nothing until 2026 or something. So, oh man, I don't understand why Sony haven't said anything. I want to know when the game coming out. Like, dude, they should have never told you it was coming to begin with.
Like we said, the reason why they told you is because y'all wouldn't shut up.
Shut up about it. Yeah.
Like,
and to be completely fair on the Metroid front, I think because I am such a Metroid fan, I get so tired of people pretending like they like this series because once again, and the 2021 was awesomely hilarious because the whole Metroid Dread situation exposed a whole lot of people. This game hard. That's one of the easiest 2D Metroids.
No, not one of the easiest. The easiest.
Like what?
The easiest.
And then the fact that Nintendo went on a straight up petty tour, which I love them for doing that. So I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, let me get this straight. Now all of a sudden y'all love Metroid. Metroid Prime Remastered drops. People that have never played the game, but they was trying to argue with. I remember people arguing with me when I was explaining the lore, arguing with me because saying I didn't know what I was talking about. Some of these same people, oh man, I didn't know Metroid Prime played like this. I'm like, you argued me down for like a week and a half.
And you bold. Oh no, this didn't happen in the game. How would you know if you didn't play it?
Right.
And I was telling people where to find the stuff at because I remember Andre and Rob, Rules to Review, was on a podcast with me, and when one dude tried to come at me, and I told him where to find it.
And he still ain't shut up. He still didn't shut up.
No, and I'm like, bruh. So one, and once again, I love the Metroid series, but it don't sell like that.
No,
It
it
don't.
doesn't. It doesn't.
That's why I'm real scared about this Legend of Zelda movie, because people think it's gonna do Mario numbers. I'm like,
No, it's not.
No, it
it's
ain't.
not.
No, it ain't.
It ain't, because especially if they go on live action first. That's why I kept saying
Nah.
all the Nintendo stuff needs to be animated off the rip, because
Mm-hmm.
everything ain't Mario. Mario is on the level of Mickey as far as iconic mascot status goes.
Nah. At this
Link
point,
and
Mario
Zelda
is
and Ganon are
surpassed
not.
Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
So to me,
Shit, look, Zelda's not even Peter Pan level right now.
yeah. So I'm sitting up here with like, just for me thinking to myself, I'm like, if it was me, I would have let an anime studio grab like Ocarina of Time or something, because more people watch. A lot of people watch anime. Let them introduce like Zelda like that before I go to live action. Same thing with
Right.
Metroid, because it's gonna, if you're gonna do Metroid, because that's the one I thought could probably be better as a live action, because they got the idea from Aliens. So I'm like,
Right.
that could probably be better suited for live action, but you still gonna have to spend a lot of money on CG.
Correct.
So
Yep.
you got to spend a lot of money on CG for this Zelda game, this Zelda movie, because I don't want to see, no disrespect to Michael Chiklis, I don't want to see no thing situation where from Fantastic Four where they had them in that orange rubber suit. I just don't want to see that, to be honest. And the guy they got producing it, he hit and miss.
Yeah.
He just is. Avi Arad is hit and miss.
Well, let's be honest though. They said everything was hit and miss with the people that they had for Mario,
No,
and
I
that
wasn't
turned
saying
into a
that.
straight up hit.
I wasn't saying that, because I've
I
seen
know
Illumination.
you
I've
didn't
seen,
say it. I'm just,
I've seen
in
Illumination's
general.
first movies. Now I ain't talking about the sequel, but the first movie for Illumination usually is the one that makes
Always,
the
yeah, the
billions.
sequel. Yeah, you said the sequel was always the one that they mess up on.
Yeah, the sequel's the one they usually mess up on. But that first one, oh yeah, that first one be making bank. So yeah, that's the thing I'm worried about. So when it comes to Metroid Prime, I'm like, do I want it to? Am I interested in it? Yes, because my thing was, I'm like, I killed Dark Samus. Phazon should be dead. So why are we calling this Metroid Prime 4? Because that's like saying Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3 to me. Like,
I do have a little bit of a theory about that, and it just means that the United Federation was dibbling and dabbling and screwing around with shit again.
don't they always? Don't they always?
They always do, and they come to backfire and bite them in the behind. Which, which now that I think about, draws an odd comparison to Mass Effect, because Mass Effect has this group called Cerberus that's always experimenting and dibbling and dabbling and
Yep.
everything, and then it comes back and bites them in the ass.
Yep.
Yep.
Sounds like real life.
I mean, that's
to me,
that's
I
the only
don't
word.
understand why people are upset that like Metroid isn't out yet. Because like you said, the main crowd that goes and buys Metroid isn't that big. Let's be honest. Like it's not that big. People jumped on to Metroid once Switch started popping up and talking about Metroid, because Switch just had that effect. Like any game that you didn't pay any attention to, it was popular. So like we're in that era to where if enough people are talking about it, it's gonna make somebody say, let me go check it out. And unfortunately, there are some people then in turn start talking about it as if they played it for the entire time it's been out. Like that's wild. And they never have. But for me, like they did what they need to do. Hey, look, yeah, we showed the thumbnail for it, but then at the same time they came and they told you, hey, look, we had to reboot it. It is what it is. So I feel like at that point, that's all they owe you. Because if they show it too early, if they show anything that's off and then it changes, y'all gonna hit them with what Spider-Man situation with the water puddle. You're gonna get hit with the whole Watchdog situation, because they showed you Watchdogs. It looks like a totally different game graphically than it did when it released. Let them cook. Let them do what they got to do. I honestly feel like you're not gonna hear anything about it until we hear about the Switch 2. Like when we hear about the Switch 2, then you'll hear about Metroid, because it's gonna be the cross-gen game.
Yeah,
like that. I feel like that's what they're holding out for. I think that's because it's essentially the same thing that happened with Breath of the Wild. Like we heard about Breath of the Wild, and we were seeing things about it, but when we got that trailer, or not the trailer, but when we got that video of them playing it on the Wii U, then that's when like okay, they pushed it back again, and then it was like okay, it's going to come out for the Switch too. So I think ultimately that's exactly what's going to happen with Metroid. The reboot is kind of like okay, well let's go ahead and just put it on the other console too, and then I think also too that will be the enticing factor of yeah, you can play it on the Switch, but if you get it on the Switch too, this is what it looks like and this is what it does. Yeah. And I think that could push people over to the next console.
And if they bring back something like, say, the Miiverse, something, it'll probably be like that. You know, like you'll get these Miiverse features to go with it.
If they bring back a social aspect, that'd be amazing. If they bring back some type of social aspect.
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, it wasn't like it was bad. Like, yeah, there were some people who were complaining about it, but I'm like, dude, a lot of people like, bro. As far as like in-game help was concerned, if you needed any help on anything, all you had to do was put a screenshot. Hey man, where do I need to go? You had an answer within 10 seconds. I think the longest I ever had to wait was like a minute. For one thing.
Because people be right on board. People are right on because people are so integrated into using Miiverse. Like there were people on it constantly.
Yes, and we ain't even talking about the artwork.
Yep.
Jeez, man, the artwork was good. Like there was some people like that were talented as hell. So that's the one thing I've always wanted them to bring back. I knew that was one of those things that Iwata pushed, but I'm like, that's one thing y'all really need to bring back is that freaking Miiverse.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because
bring it back
and just keep with it.
Well, now that they're charging for the online, they could bring it back and just call it Switchverse.
Yeah,
there you go. And then that be a part of the online.
Or whatever.
Yeah, be a part of the online, and then you can have it one for the gaming aspect of it, and I'm pretty sure they'll find a way to tie in the theme park.
Yeah,
like give you a reason to bring that Switch to the theme park. They'll find a way because I mean they were doing that with the DS by going to the Mariners game.
Yeah,
before they sold them off.
Yeah, it was just actually off the chain that actually happened. Yeah, but there is one last thing I want to talk about, and it was a game, kind of like what we just talking about about release dates, releasing too early and stuff. Mm-hmm. Freedom Planet 2 had an awesome trailer back in 2016, 17.
Somewhere I remember because it dropped on my birthday.
Yeah,
the trailer dropped on my birthday.
For one of my favorite voice actresses, she was doing the voiceover, and I'm like, oh, I'm looking forward to this. Man. We just not got a release date, people.
All right, well, just got a console release date because it is on. It is on. Steam.
It is on Steam. Yeah, it is on Steam. But it was just funny because it's like, what in the world happened to this game? Because I completely forgot about it.
All right,
completely forgot about it.
Well, that's because Galaxy Trail also released like 4 other games in between that time frame. So
yeah,
they was building up their money.
Apparently, but we finally got a release date for Freedom Planet 2. It's going to be April 4th of this year. That game was the game before Sonic had its renaissance with Superstars and that other one. That was a game that everybody was like, dude, Sonic team need to look at this. Because that first Freedom Planet game was
obviously not.
Well, no,
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
The first one was off the chain, and at the time, you got to remember, at the time, Sonic team was
lagging.
Yeah, who they were.
But the thing was, the first Freedom Planet started out as a Sonic fan game, and then it just became its own thing.
Yeah.
Which was actually better than Sonic, I feel like.
Yeah.
At the time, yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So, I'm actually looking forward to this one, to Freedom Planet 2, but I'm probably not getting it because Tales of Zao is coming, and I'm sorry, I gotta support. Because
oh yeah.
For the culture.
Yeah, for the culture. So that supersedes stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Wakanda forever. So
Hey, listen. Remember, they gotta give everybody a Killmonger haircut now.
Yeah, I mean
that's a new one. Add it to the fro and the cornrows, bro. Like add that up.
Eddie Gordon.
There are so many.
Like Michael B. Jordan out here. I'm like, if I'm Michael B. Jordan, I'm with everybody.
There's so many different hairstyles that they could look at, but not like, no, this was popular. Use that one for every black character you can think of. Like motherfucker.
I'm like, geez, dude, really?
Somebody
Like
passing that code around. Like, look, you ain't got to code it in
like
the
y'all,
game.
is it so hard for y'all to take some locks and just have them have some sway to them? Like really,
No,
is that the hardest thing y'all
we
can
can't
do?
do that. We can't do that.
Yeah,
So,
like nah, we gotta lock it in position where it looks like it's hanging over, reaching off your head, but it's stiff
yeah.
as fuck. Like god damn.
Did
Like
anybody?
at least let the hair move and bob, please.
My thing is, I would love to be like a fly on the wall during them art development meetings. Cause like, hey man, I just watched this great Marvel movie. It's called I don't know if you guys seen it, Black Panther. So yeah, they have this very interesting villain. He's a dichotomy of America. So I really love his hairstyle. Play by Michael B. Jordan. Let's put that in the game. I'm
Like this is the time frame where they need someone on staff who is of the descent and be like, hey, look, is this a good idea? And then they can just be like, no, no,
no,
no, no.
Yeah,
like
Because
no,
then you're making everyone looks the same.
yeah,
We
right.
don't need everyone to look the same. Like you can have a few people with that hairstyle, but then you should have some people that have different hairstyles. Like, so we don't look like we're cloning people and just
Hey,
placing them in different games.
basically,
they said we gave you afros, cornrows, the bald, and the Caesar. What more do you want from us?
basically.
Yeah, we're giving you this one. You like Killmonger, right? All right. We're part of the culture. We pay attention.
We paid enough attention to this one
but
popular character.
but I will give Ubisoft credit. Prince of Persia has a character in there named Neith, who is
hmm
Kush, and they actually went and did the correct like from where she would be from with the red locks
Yep.
and
hmm
the tribal markings and all that. They actually, I have to give them credit for that, even though Sargon, I'm guessing he's supposed to be Persian, looked like Killmonger. He looked like Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
He looked like Michael
Which
B.
which I'm thinking during that time frame, that hairstyle wouldn't have been in that region.
Not in that region. It would have been in Africa, but it would have been on the continent of Africa. It wouldn't have been in that region though.
Hey.
Not where
Yeah,
they're at.
but I
No,
don't think I don't think they would have had the locks leaning to one side though. They would
not
have
to one
tied them
side.
straight up.
They would probably would have been straight back like Neith
See,
is.
just ain't no
Yeah,
satisfying y'all. That's why we don't even try.
straight back or straight up.
Yeah,
That's why we don't even try. That's why
yeah. That's how I'm
ain't no
like,
pleasing
bruh.
y'all. Ain't no pleasing y'all.
That,
We
that,
give y'all new hairstyle and now y'all still complaining.
Look, that ain't a
that's why
new
we still pay
hairstyle. That
all your
hairstyle is what like
staff.
that hairstyle is decades old. But then y'all got it stuck up on his head like somebody then spray starched it in place.
No.
It's like
Oh,
they scout Killmonger just glued it
Yeah,
to his head, called it a
look.
day.
They said we're trying out here. We sat back, we watched the movie, we watched Black Panther, and y'all still complaining? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going back to the fro and the cornrows that like they're split individually on the
Yes,
head.
play individual.
We're not doing this with you. We're not
You
doing
know
this.
what? I just want that one character. Y'all remember that movie Head of State with Bernie Mac and Chris Rock? I just want that one character that Bernie Mac is just walking out, just slapping the five people. That's what he. That's what, when they go there and do something that stupid. Come here, pow! No, pow! No. It's like, geez, dude. But Dark Void, yes, I did see that. I did see the gameplay trailer. I want to watch it again though, because the one thing that concerns me about having 150 characters in the game is, are they going to be unique or are they going to be cloned up?
Yeah,
That's the one
that's
thing that
very
has me.
interesting.
It's gonna be cloned up. You'll be running around with like 50 Gokus.
Yeah, because I
Well,
mean
that's the
that's
thing.
pretty much what they showed. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't think we need to do that.
no,
To be
we don't
honest,
need to.
if you want to do like Goku and Vegeta, I know if you're doing it at different points, because yes, Goku and Vegeta probably have the most transformations out of anybody in the series. And if you're going all the way through Super, which I think they're probably going to wind up doing, because you are not doing this game without Ultra Instinct Goku.
No, you're not.
You're not.
That's why I'm surprised they didn't show in a trailer.
Because they're saving it. They got to be saving it. So
well, at the same time, too, I think. Oh well, here's another thing, another theory. You can't show Ultra Instinct because in reality we haven't seen Vegeta's form in
Ultra Ego,
anime
yeah,
yet. The
yeah.
Ultra Ego.
Even though
So,
they've showed like because even Toei themselves showed what it would look like.
mhm.
So they've already let the artwork out for that. But I don't. Once again, since they haven't said when Super's coming back, even though they said it's coming back, and they're supposedly working on another movie. So
They got too much crap going on too.
yeah,
Like
they
way
got
too
way
much.
too much. But
But
yeah,
yeah, I like the trailer. I mean, the characters. I think we don't go to Budokai 3 route. Like it was cool at
please
the
don't.
time,
Yeah,
but just all you had to do is, I know you're gonna have Kid Goku, have it switch between the GT
yeah,
and the Dragon Ball version. Teen, I don't even really think you need Teen, but go ahead and put Teen Goku in there. And then when you get to adult form, allow me to just swap through his transformations,
yeah.
because I'm pretty sure you're not gonna bring the capsule thing back. I doubt they'll bring capsules back.
Yeah,
For you to
and
do
that
those
way,
transformations.
because to be fair, Goku has the same move set,
He
just
does.
to give him the
Yeah.
different looks.
Yeah,
That's how I would do it because it's the same moves. Goku does Kamehameha, Warp Kamehameha. And that's pretty much it.
because instant transmission Kamehameha, they would
Yeah.
have to keep it with a specific set, and then of
Yeah.
course the whole. I'm pretty sure they're gonna find a way to implement the whole Kamehameha riding that he did with with Khalifa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're gonna find a way to
Or
do
in
that. But
and the God bind that he did on Broly,
yeah.
yeah,
But
which
other
is
than
new.
that, I mean, but yeah, that's what I'm saying. He don't have. It's not like he got 30 moves. He has like
yeah,
Let's think about the fact that all this time, Goku only created one new move out of all this
all
time.
that time. Yeah,
yeah,
Krillin has more moves than Goku.
yeah. That's wild.
Everybody got more moves than Goku.
Hey, Goku said I'm still kicking ass with him though. Like,
Goku, in the words of old Honcho that does those anime what if calls like,
mhm.
hey look man, I just want to throw hands because he
But
has a good skit video where Goku gaslighting villains. So
yeah,
I'm like, bro,
which he do all the time anyway.
he does.
But
So,
that came on because I was actually going to talk about that. The trailer happened at a very interesting time because the trailer came up along with them also releasing DLC for Kakarot, or talking about the Kakarot DLC. Which, what would you do in that DLC? Like, because Goku fought Oob, then what?
yeah.
And so I saw that, I'm like, okay, they're going crazy with the Dragon Ball stuff, and then I forgot we're gonna start seeing reviews soon for this $3,500 Vision Pro
Yeah.
that sold out apparently, and I'm like,
I saw that too. I'm like, did it really sell out, or did Apple give it to some people?
well, here's the thing. I know some people because we talk from the VR side of things. They did hand out to some people, but here's the problem. From a word standpoint, they didn't mismarket, right? But then they misled from a visual standpoint. So a lot of them are already talking about, man, I'm returning mine as soon as it shows up because he can't cancel. It's too late to cancel because it comes out February 2nd. But they're talking about sending it back because one key thing that everybody wanted, which I don't really know why, but what they wanted was Apple showed you put this thing on, you open your MacBook, screen comes up, and you have up to 3 screens. You can't do that. It only does one screen. So
they probably couldn't get it to work.
Probably, but the thing is, they showed it, but then in the wording they say it can only do one. So they covered themselves as far as the write-up was concerned. And then also too, the battery. People thought it was going to be interchangeable, and it's not. Like that battery is, you're stuck with that battery. So you have to charge that particular battery, and people thought you could charge the headset, but it's not running on its own power. It runs from that attachable battery.
That's what I thought.
So I was like, 3,500 to do work.
I'm good.
Ain't no way, bro.
Ain't
no way. Like, ain't no way.
Trinell, it's funny that you say that because I remember Budokai 3, Yamcha was, if you knew how to fight with Yamcha, you knew how to play with Yamcha.
Yamcha's wild on all these.
Yamcha is in any of the games. He has a counter to damn near everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Because then I went back and watched. Then I remember, like in Dragon Ball, he was like that. Like he wasn't most powerful, but he had a counter for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was when they actually gave him some shine. He would surprise everybody, even if he was like 2 to 3 runs below you. He'd keep up.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Dark Void, yeah. They should put Black Air Force Energy Freezer in
But
the
give them the gold chains and the give them the gold chains in the fronts too.
yeah.
Might as well.
If they do Ultra Ego, yeah, Black Freezer should be in there.
Well, that's the thing.
If they
I
do
think
Ultra
they
Ego.
really gonna mess around and screw themselves because when we don't have a release date for this game yet, right?
Not yet.
Nope.
But
So
here's the thing: the way their way out of this is if you went back and watched Super, when Goku and Vegeta are training on Darius' planet,
mhm,
that's the sequence right when that whole thing with
right,
Frieza happens. That's where it happens at, where Frieza
but
comes in, goes black, punches both of them, and basically tells them they on borrowed time.
but
No,
here's the
that
thing. So,
happens at the end of that happens at the end of the Granola arc.
No, I'm
They weren't
saying, but
training.
I'm talking about in the
Or you
movie
want to?
though.
Oh,
on
for
the
this.
movie
So,
Um,
yeah, in
in
the
that Broly movie,
yeah in
yeah,
the super movie,
superhero,
yeah,
yeah,
superheroes. That sequence happens right after that.
right after, yeah,
Yeah, that's why because they went and got Broly and brought him there because Whis was like, we got to get Broly, bring him here and train him if they for them to stand a chance.
right, yeah,
So that was the whole point of it. That's what I'm saying. Like they
oh yeah,
got
they used it as a lead in. That's right. They
yeah,
did.
they got a loophole if they want to do that. They do have a
but
loophole.
like for the time that I was putting up like gameplay content for super, like it was what's that Dragon Ball game? It was like the card based game. I forget what it was. What
Oh,
it's called.
the one where you was it the mobile game?
No, it's on the Switch, but in Japan they have like an actual card based where you
Heroes,
lay them down.
Heroes.
Heroes, there
superhero,
you go.
Dragon Ball Heroes.
So I was doing Dragon Ball Heroes. I was putting the content up. I would always get struck because I was showing Ultra Instinct at the time. So now, mind you, Ultra Instinct, if you had Crunchyroll, Ultra Instinct was already being shown. Like he had already
Yeah.
transformed everything. They hadn't shown it in America yet. So I
Oh,
would get struck every single time to pull all Ultra Instinct content out.
okay. So yeah, that might
Yep.
be a problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know because the American version is not going to catch up anytime soon. Because the moment they start Super Up, is not like the Japanese
It's gonna
version
wait a
and the
year.
American version is going to be like on par with one another.
Well,
They
Okay.
always
there
behind.
there might be they might be actually changing that because their work
Maybe.
Shueisha has been trying to work on having it all released at the same time instead of having you get the sub version and then the dub version comes out a year later. They're trying to do it all at once.
Yeah. Because
Well,
it took too
with
long.
some they have been successful with it. With some animes they've been successful with it, but those are usually like with people that don't have like 50 other animes they're doing. And the problem with Funimation, especially the people that do Dragon Ball, is they work on like 30 other ones at the same time.
Yeah. Because
So
I think it worked
Well,
for Demon Slayer
that's
and
also
also
because
worked for Rise of the Shield Hero.
yeah, but
They worked
yeah,
for them too.
yeah, and the reason why that works for them is they only do them at those specific
Yeah.
times. So it's
Mhm.
not
yeah.
like a weekly thing. And when Dragon Ball comes back, it's gonna be weekly.
Oh yeah.
It's
Well,
not gonna be.
that's also because they're not all throwing all their books their eggs in with Funimation being the
Yeah.
basket because of
Yeah.
all that crap that went down a few years
Oh
ago.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, when the truth came out about that, some people need to apologize to Vic
I,
Mignogna. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
I'm still messed up on how Sean Schemmel gonna act like he's the only person that can play Goku.
Yeah. Him and
Those are
Mr. Sabat. I'm like, y'all really are wilding.
Yeah.
Y'all
like
are really wilding,
they can. Oh, y'all forget y'all can be replaced quickly,
quickly
Mm-hmm.
because
especially Sean Schemmel.
Toy owns that, not y'all. Like, that is not an
That's
American
what,
thing.
that's what like when they did when Super got dubbed and they did the Goku Black Arc and he threw on that fake British voice to kind of make fun of Masako
Yeah.
X.
Yeah.
I was like, bro, we know that's exactly what you're doing. Like you making fun of the Team Four Star, the
Yeah.
team that kept Dragon Ball relevant in your
Yeah.
absence. You're making fun
That's
of them.
true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So they really did. So whatever, man. It
I'm
is
like,
what it
okay,
is.
I'm like, I know you got a whole thing because Masako was more popular as Goku than you were. That's screwed up for you, isn't it?
And if you think you can't be
Alright.
replaced, that's what happened to the Ocean Group that was doing it originally before you.
Yep.
Because they
They
kept screwing it up.
they replaced them at the drop of a dime. So
Mm-hmm.
it literally goes from what is it, episode 43? It's the Ocean Group 44, it's them. So like, bro, don't
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah,
you
because
can be replaced.
the Ocean Group did do the Boo saga, but they didn't do the Android saga. So that whole saga is missing
Yeah,
for Ocean Group.
That's
whole
crazy.
saga. So I don't. He does a couple of voices in games, Zodia, but I can't remember which ones.
He doesn't do a whole lot because he's
Yeah.
riding the coattails off of one thing.
He it's kind of like I hate to say it like this, but it's kind of like what Helena Taylor was like. She was uh what's a Bayonetta, and when we
Yeah,
went and looked, that's pretty much all she had did.
that was her resume.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's kind of
he's
like that.
done some
He's done
smaller
more.
roles and
Yeah,
stuff.
but
But when you came down to the whole thing where they had the whole controversy going after Vic Mignogna, you look at what he did on IMDb, and then look at everybody else.
this is yeah,
The only one who's in any competition with him is Chris Sabat.
and that's it. Yeah, even Monica Rial and the other ones wasn't in contention because he did. I don't know why. It's not like it's Nolan North. Like Nolan North, if you look at Nolan North's um, uh, IMDb page, that thing is packed. And he does the. I think most
Yeah,
of him as the. He usually does the voice of Deadpool in the animated stuff. Majority of the time,
yeah,
animated video games usually Nolan North.
yeah.
Um,
I'm looking at Sean Schimmel stuff now. It's majority Dragon Ball. I mean, he got some Yu Yu Hakusho and some Berserk in
but
here,
that's
but
about it.
it's
Like
mainly Dragon Ball though.
it's not a lot.
Yeah,
Yes, but that whole situation is that's it's gonna be very interesting. Because I don't know what they're gonna do, but
mm.
yeah. All right, peeps, that's gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Look like we lost Andre. Somebody probably called him. But Jack, anything you want to pimp out?
Just testing out a little bit more before I actually commit to doing the streaming thing. If anything, I'll probably just do some pre-recorded content first, and then see what it looks like. Because I've tried to do the whole testing, and sometimes I feel like it still puts it up as if I'm streaming, even though I said I just want to test, and I didn't want it to showcase like, oh, I'm streaming if I'm really not. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much, like I said, I got the lineup picked out. I didn't want to get into uh too like long of a game to kind of run. So I kind of went with more of the arcadey style. So your Power Stones, the Diddy Kongs, the
Oh, the fun
NFL,
stuff.
yeah, all the fun stuff. So like
Yeah.
if it really gets going and I really get into the groove of it to where I can really sit down and try to complete a game on live, then I'll have something picked out. I think I have to go with either Mystical Ninja, which I'm always talking about, or do the Legend version of Skies of Arcadia on GameCube. But we'll see. I mean, I should test out for like another week, and then I'll give it a run and see if people gravitate towards it, and see if they like it. But yeah, that's
All
about
right.
it.
Cool. I did do, like I said, check out the last night's Stormcast over at Sandstorm's channel. We had a good
Mhm.
discussion. Also, me and Vicky did a series review for Echo. Check that out. We did that earlier this morning. And I'm gonna try and do some more. Start doing some gameplay of Warframe. And if you want to, because I'm thinking about starting up a clan for Warframe.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to join, look in the Discord. Probably gonna start playing on Friday nights. Just be us in the Discord and probably just have like Discord chat, stuff like that, for a game night. So if you are into Warframe or you're playing or want to get into it, they did finally do cross save. So I was actually able to put all my accounts together because I play on Switch and on Xbox.
Right.
So and it actually is pretty easy. Now I don't know if the crossplay is available to everybody yet. Last time I looked on their web page, some people had it, some people didn't. So
Mhm.
I don't know if the crossplay is everybody yet, but I do know that the cross save does work. So
Okay.
if you are into Warframe, you can at least set that up. Andre, anything you want to pimp out?
I mean, I just got hacked off the network now. No, my daughter hit my phone screen and accidentally closed me out. I was like, oh. I was in the middle of making a point. No, I mean, I was thinking about doing a video on Hip Hop Grifter, on analyzing what he said in a little bit more detail, but I might not. I don't know if he's worth the
Yeah,
effort.
I don't think it's worth it.
Um, but I do have a couple things that I'm planning on getting out. I did do a discussion about how the 3DS would work being tied to the Wii U, if anybody's interested in that. Uh, and I just have a couple small videos that popped up. Otherwise, I mean, I'm just going to work on whatever I can get out. I'm still trying to get everything set for streaming, but I'm more than likely, I think I'm just going to go the StreamYard route because it's simpler to get everything set up.
Yeah, it seems to be the case because I mean, I have my stuff tied to Streamlabs through my YouTube account, and it still seems a little finicky. So I might have to go the
It's,
StreamYard route too.
my biggest problem is getting all of the info sent to everywhere. That's
Mm,
the one problem I'm having because it doesn't send everywhere and it just pops up with whatever was last used for me to do a stream. So I'm like, yeah, that's not working. I need something that'll put all of the proper information out, so I'm not sitting there having to go in and try to edit everything and slow
yeah,
down the process.
yeah.
So yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna have to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, look forward to seeing all of that stuff coming in the near future. That being said, BIPOC Streaming Awards is fast approaching. So just to let you know, we're gonna have Vicky do a takeover of the podcast probably in probably right before it's time for the voting to start. So just be aware of that. But
She
we will
gonna
see
come
you
debo
guys.
the podcast.
Yes, you're gonna debo the podcast. So everybody, thank you guys once again for watching. Thank you everybody in the chat. We will see you guys next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So peace out, people. Have a good one.
Peace.
Peace, everybody.